What's going on, Steve?
Hey, not much, Connor. How you doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. I'm in paradise. So
Love it, man. I love it.
yeah,
I think I'm down in here in beautiful Florida with a brick wall behind me, and you're up in Maine, just living the dream, man. So
yeah, I
good
know.
stuff.
Surprised you're not evacuated.
No, I know I'm on the southeast coast, so not too bad. Should still be nasty, but I've got the good storm windows and all the fun stuff. So
Good. Well, let's start with you. Why we're here in the first place. In case people don't know, can you give a little briefer introduction of yourself, where you're at now, and how you got there?
yeah, absolutely. So how I got there is always a kind of a winding journey, but kind of what I'm doing now is had this resource called the Insurance Industry Index for a couple of years, really trying to provide information to independent captive agents across the country, and really kind of connecting them with service providers, influencers, information about events and all the things, and that's kind of taken me down a winding path as I've gotten into some different contracting and consulting agreements, kind of during that process. And one of those that I'm working on currently is with a company called Now Certs, building out really cool leads platform called Momentum Lead X. And I've been really kind of grinding on that for about 7 months now, and kind of focus kind of went off the website a little bit, but building out a really cool lead generation, lead distribution, lead management, platform geared for all agencies. And that's kind of how I stumbled into you, kind of looking for different avenues for that, and how to create some value there. And then obviously, we kind of got into some conversations about the insurance index, and where, we could potentially partner. And here we are, man. So it's been a fun journey. So excited.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know you're doing some cool stuff and pulling us in to help with the index. I guess you can probably say better than I can, but you'd consider this a relaunch of the index?
I would say so. Yeah. It's been, like I said, it's been around for about 3 years. It kind of started as a side hustle, and then, became, started really growing in popularity, got a lot of excitement going on it. So I was doing it, full time, had some good traction going, but then really kind of this most recent engagement I have with Now Search just kind of pulled most of my time and energy from it. And, it's kind of been stagnant, I would say, for a little bit. And, something I still am passionate about and love and want to grow. And, really just needed someone to drive the content, the, kind of the marketing aspects of it to keep it out there and relevant. So, it was just great to stumble in and, kind of get this thing cranking, and we're already, ready to go with a bunch of cool content coming out. Really focused on the events are still obviously a big part of it, but, the big contributors in the industry as far as influencers, will be featuring some of those all the time. And then any important events, news wise, that come up as well. Again, with the ultimate goal of providing agencies with information that's kind of hard to find now.
Right. Yeah. And I think, again, I've got to know you a little bit, and it sounds like you're pretty plugged into not only the people, but the best tech, and just understanding from my perspective what agents need and why they need it. And it sounds like that's what the point of the index is, right? It's to help agents figure out where they should be looking for information, what is the best versus just other stuff that's out there.
Yeah. And a lot of times what happens is most agencies are part of some kind of network or aggregator, or maybe they're captive agents. So they typically only have access to a certain group of technology or services that are out there based on what their group wants them to see. So our goal is to really broaden that view, and again, see what events are out there. I think insurance and events, as as plentiful as they are, there's so much value there, and a lot of actually vendors get a ton of help and a ton of information about the events from the site as well. So yeah, it's really kind of trying to just be that hub and great resource across the board.
Right. And that's something from my perspective as a vendor. We go to these trade shows, and it's typically word of mouth, which ones you should go to, which ones are great, which ones aren't worth your time. And I feel like getting that from someone who's at a trade show is good. But if someone like yourself has been to all of these, the players, that seems to be kind of the biggest value add on the calendar side of this, right? It's just,
and truly, I've told the story a couple of times, but yeah, the site really started as an event platform, and then, just kind of grew from there. But yeah, the events are the core. As for a vendor, I've heard a number of vendors just say that, they're not as important. You don't get much out of them. And then, I see them 6 or 9 months later, and all of a sudden they're attending every event, because that's truly where everyone's, kind of sharing the information and getting their info. So it's a critical part of the industry, and, it's going to continue to be. The landscape has changed a little bit, but at the end of the day, in-person events with a vendor or exhibit hall are going strong. As you can see on the calendar, there's still a ton out there.
For sure. So if someone tunes in, they subscribe to whether it's the newsletter, social media, they check the website consistently, what can they expect to get?
Yeah. Yeah. The main goal, just that high level information. We're trying to be as inclusive as possible. Pretty much everybody can be on the site for free. Yeah, there's definitely paid aspects to it for promotional purposes, but it's really to provide free, quick information. Right now, it's kind of set up as a directory, as you know, it's kind of we've talked about. Hopefully, with you guys involved, we can take it to the next level and create some more intelligence on the site. But yeah, right now it's just directory of information, contact info, and then kind of from a vendor standpoint, planning your year ahead. And the goal really, one of the things I'm hopeful and excited about is getting some social media engagement going around the events, because that still seems to be the anchor that people are most interested in. And so get some chatter about who's going, what speakers are people excited about, what vendors are they excited to see, and then just kind of take it from there. And that's all about consistency and keeping it out in front. So excited to get it back on.
For sure. That's what we're aiming to help with there. It's just making sure that the content's going out, but it's not just any content, it's good content, right? I was just at the Agents Alliance exhibit in Palm Springs, which was pretty sick. Good conference. I'd never been before, but I gave a presentation there on essentially 7 pieces of technology that agents, if I had an agency, that I would use.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the reasons that I was so intrigued by the insurance index is this is a conversation I'm consistently having with agents is what are other agents using? What do you like? What do you don't like? What's worked for you? And inevitably we come down to the tech stack that we end up managing with Jumpsuit Group or suggesting it. But I feel like unless you're tied into these different spaces, you don't get to hear that. Or you hear, of all this InsurTech that comes out and you sign up for it and then it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and there's such a convergence kind of in both projects I'm working on. I've got, again, this LeadX platform that I'm building out, and so many regulations coming out. It's going to get so much more difficult for agencies to generate their own leads or to purchase leads, whatever the deal is. So having the ability to partner up, help with that, and then also as on the index, be able to provide that information, even information about the regulations and compliance. And, as I talk to lead suppliers now, if I talk to 10 of them, I promise you there's 10 different philosophies on how they're all going to handle the new regulations. So, definitely plan on delivering some content around that and kind of how agencies can protect themselves. Because anytime there's these compliance issues, there's going to be actors out there trying to take advantage and just go, lawsuit happy to try and get a bunch of settlements and things. So, yeah, I think it'll be a great, again, just kind of convergence of both projects, kind of working it, building it, and then also providing the information out to the agencies to manage and grow.
Got it. And what about the influencers that you're talking about on the platform? Like just from the conversations we have, a lot of the big guys like Ryan Hanley and whatnot. Are those guys that you turn to for advice and then try to get out on the platform, or those guys that you want speaking directly on the platform?
Yeah, I'd say both. I mean, I jumped into the independent agency world. I was with Allstate for about 12 years on the corporate side. So I was very locked into the captive world and as far as it pertained to Allstate. But when I left that, joined a company called Lightspeed Voice, selling VoIP phone solutions to independent agents. So I really had no connections. And, influence is kind of a weird word, because it has kind of almost a negative connotation in some circles, but it's valid. They're totally knowledgeable on the industry. The amount of research and information they've done is incredible. And just to be able to spit out the content and really go out and speak, for years, right? It's easy to do one tour of where you're talking to new people every time, but the core group that is continually, signed on for multiple years, obviously they're keeping up with the latest trends and they're pushing content out like nobody else. And it's just great. And they're, like I said, they're friends, they're coworkers. And, it's a really dual benefit for me. Obviously there's the information I get from them, but then, the ability to capitalize on their audience obviously is a part of it. But it's we help them, they help us, and everything's good. But at the end of the day, they're some of the hardest working people out there, and they love the industry as much as I do.
No, for sure. I have a ton of respect for the guys who are the leading voices, especially in the insurance industry, because as you know, insurance is not the sexiest industry, right? So for you to go out there and for 5 years, 10 years, be talking about this stuff, you have to truly love it and you have to care about it, and people can tell. And
you have to be right some of the time, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think these guys, at least the ones that we've talked about getting on, they're people that when we started Jumpsuit Group, they were people that we were looking at and saying who are these guys? Who spends their time doing this? Right. And then inevitably now they're like the Gary Vaynerchuk of insurance or whatever.
Isn't that crazy? Right? Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. No, so we're excited. Jumpsuit Group's pumped to be part of this. We're honored to be brought in and help with the content. I think that it kind of speaks to the nature of what we do as a company, right? Like we see a lot of canned stuff out there, whether it's like social media kits or canned content wells, where it just repeats the same stuff over and over again. Not that that's bad, but I think when you start to get into what the best kind of systems are, what the best information is for an agency, it comes from people who are getting their hands dirty. And I don't think that canned content syncs with getting your hands dirty.
Exactly.
Right. And that's what this is it's getting people's opinions that are plugged in, doing things and putting it all in one space so agents can access it. And that was what was very exciting for me about the opportunity coming with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I kind of struggle with is, even on the content side, AI is kind of the easy answer. And clearly it's going to be part of the solution. I, especially with the insurance index, it's such a personal thing for me. I want it to feel personal and not kind of that blueprinted stuff. So that was, one of the things when we connected pretty early on. You guys are definitely doing some awesome stuff. So you really feel like you'll be able to keep the voice and kind of direction I was heading, but with the backing of an awesome group of people that are, looking to grow their own company as well, so it's a good partnership that way.
For sure. What else should people know before we wrap up? Is there anything we missed that's important to the insurance index and the message you want to get out?
No, like I said, we're just excited. We'll continue to we'll kind of revamp the content, push it out there and sharing people's stories, which I think is always the most fun thing, right? It's technology can be boring, but the stories behind it, the people behind it, and that's really what we'll continue to highlight are the people. Yeah, open to any suggestions if people want to get information on getting on the site or being promoted on the site. Just reach out to myself. It's Steven.Mohr at theinsuranceindex.com, or obviously on LinkedIn. I'm out there, and then obviously go get in touch with Connor. And just going to be an exciting couple weeks and start getting this thing ramped up. And on the lead side, if just to put that plug into, if people are interested, between Connor and I think we can provide some pretty good value there. But generation, distribution, management, all the things, we're geared up and ready to help there as well.
Couldn't agree more. And I think if you're listening to this and there's topics you want us to cover, messaging us, letting us know, because that's inevitably we want this to help you or the people consuming the content.
And I just to kind of, I have a lot of conversations, talk to a lot of vendors, talk to a lot of agents. I think the, kind of the overarching theme is you've got a lot of, obviously there's a ton of information about companies doing AI out there. And then the other fastest growing aspect are, VAs, VEs, these outsourced employees. So, agents need bandwidth, they need help. And, we want to piece those things together and add the information.
Absolutely. I think agency virtual assistants are something that I want to touch on very early because we don't use any of the vendors in the insurance space, but we use virtual assistants in our business, and they're freaking amazing. So, and obviously agents are very outdated. So that might be one of the first topics that I bring someone in to cover.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool, man. Good stuff. I'm pumped to get this rolling. And
awesome,
we'll rip it. Thanks for coming on.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. You can hang out. This is
cool.
Nice. Dude, that went great.